opportunities or were shut out of our economy prior to incarceration. In order to ensure a future without police and mass incarceration, we must ensure a future without poverty. Those affected by homelessness, mental illness, drug addiction, and lack of economic opportunity must not be funneled into our prison system. They must be given resources to prevent them from entering the poverty to prison cycle in the first place. The policy changes in question must include but are not limited to the decriminalization of sex work, the decriminalization of all drugs and steps towards the legalization of marijuana, prioritization of housing first initiatives for the homeless and those who are housing insecure, and a moratorium on rent and mortgages for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. 37% of Kansas will be evicted during this pandemic, or have already been. Romy, what's the stat? I don't know. Anyway, whatever it is. But there's a lot of people who are about to be on these streets. And with an increased budget for the police, people who are already preyed on by the police, people who are already homeless, people who are already black, people who are already 5 times as likely to suffer from this disease, people who are already 6 times as likely to be killed by the police will be pushed out onto the streets and will only be further exposed to that violence. So we gotta stop it. We demand that steps be taken to end the school to prison pipeline. Just as black people are overrepresented in our nation's prisons, black children are overrepresented in disciplinary actions taken against them in schools. In fact, in USD 259, black children made up only 18% of K-12 enrollment for the 2010 to 2011 school year, yet accounted for 22% of in-school suspensions, 25.6% of out-of-school suspensions, and 34% of expulsions. Black and brown students of the Wichita area should not be criminalized for coming from low-income families or having less than ideal home lives. We should take every opportunity to uplift underprivileged students in USD 259 and in school districts in surrounding areas. We demand the following changes in our public school system. The removal of police officers and military recruiters from USD 259. The abolition of zero tolerance policies in schools. The abolition of truancy laws. We demand the revision or repeal of Kansas Code Chapter 75, Article 61 of the Kansas Tort Claims Act, which states that government entities, rather than if their employers, are liable for wrongdoing committed while acting in their official capacity. Our taxpayer dollars should not be used to pay the settlements of those harmed by police brutality. As a part of holding officers accountable when they commit acts of violence against innocent citizens, the state law that shields government officials from being individually sued must be ended. If you don't know, the city of Wichita, our city manager, Robert Layton, has already paid a lawyer over transformative justice, everybody. But we could...
He should just be executed.
No, not the death penalty. That's a different conversation. We demand the renegotiation of the contract between the city of Wichita and the Fraternal Order of Police. The current contract between the city and the FOP is an antithetical to transparency between the WPD and the public, especially in regards to police misconduct, investigations, and disciplinary action. While the WPD still exists, we demand their full accountability to the public without the mitigating interference of police union contracts. We demand greater transparency between police departments and the public. An officer's disciplinary history should be considered public information. Additionally, a database and registry for officers who have committed acts of violence against citizens must be created and publicized. And officers who are fired for excessive use of force must be prohibited from applying for jobs or becoming officers on the police force of other cities and precincts. We demand the abolition of the good old boy system. Currently, there is an unspoken code of fraternity in law enforcement leading all the way up to city officials and council members. I'm talking about Robert Layton, the city manager. If you do not know, he is the man with the real power. He makes the budget. He makes the budget. He controls the police. He is the one who decides when somebody gets arrested or when somebody is fired and all that other shit. He has the real control. I totally feel you calling for Brandon Whipple and Gordon Ramsay's recall or what the fuck ever. Like, you know, whatever. That's cool. But the real person y'all need to be aware of and research and look into is Robert Layton. One more time. And we were at his house yesterday and we're gonna be there again. He was on vacation, I didn't know. Finally, we demand the demilitarization of the WPD. We cannot address police brutality and its ill effects on our community without addressing the overwhelming militarization of our police department. It is no doubt that the militarization of the WPD contributed to the murder of innocent Andrew Finch by WPD in December 2017's fatal swatting incident, where WPD officers swarmed Finch's house in full tactical gear and shot him through the heart in seconds. He was unarmed. Indeed, altogether, law enforcement agencies in Sedgwick County have received nearly $1 million in surplus military equipment. An image taken from and then I'm going to read this excerpt from the FOP contract. Article 15, working conditions and equipment. Practice ammunition. The city shall make available at its expense, at our expense, 600 rounds of ammunition each year for each employee covered by this agreement who is required regularly to carry a weapon in the line of duty for use by employees desiring to improve or maintain proficiency with their weapons. The city shall provide 4,800 rounds of submachine gun ammunition and 1,200 rounds of ammunition for each sniper rifle in the arsenal, and an additional 600 rounds of handgun ammunition for each member of the tactical team. Additionally, the city of Wichita, on June 2nd of this year, in the midst of a global pandemic that has, of June 29th, affected, well, I don't know, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than 1,000 now.
What's that?
how many people that COVID-19 has affected in this county? It's a lot more than that. Anyway, this was written a while back. But it approved a $60,000 bid for new taser cartridges for the WPD. In June, this kind of flagrant spending on weapons when many of our residents are laid off, unemployed, and struggling to make ends meet due to the pandemic is unacceptable. We demand the WPD begin demilitarization immediately. We demand the reduction of police spending on weapons and military equipment and a complete cessation on weapons spending for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic.